Second round of Alabama high school playoff action. A big weekend is ahead. Emily Cochran joins me as always. Emily, we are in the thick of it right now. You've got your notes, so I know we've got a lot to get to today.
Yeah, I'm really fired up about this round. We walked into round one with 28 teams going into the postseason. We have 17 moving on to round two, and I think that's just a huge accomplishment for Region 1. One thing I want to mention before we get started is in 7A, every single team advanced to the second round for the first time ever, so huge shout out to our 7A teams. That's incredible. 4 for 4 advancing. We'll see how that plays out this week. Let's start with the opposite of 7A almost, though, a very small game. I love how y'all are putting the spotlight on this one. Yeah, we love when we get to go up to 1A schools, and the first time we ever did that, we went up to Leroy this season, and we had an absolute blast. So we said we had to do this again. We're going up for a second round game. Maplesville going to McIntosh. I think McIntosh has been a little bit of a surprise in 1A, in my opinion. They've just done so well. Got a big win last week to advance to this week's game, but they are going to have their hands full with Maplesville. When I talked to Chan Lowe at Leroy a few weeks back, I asked him, okay, who are the teams that we need to keep an eye out for you guys to go up against? And he said that 2 of the toughest teams are Maplesville and then McKenzie as well. So this is a team that McIntosh is really going to have a lot on their plate with this one. They have the #1 defense in 1A. You know how many points they're allowing per game?
Let's go 14.
2.25. That is an insane stat to me. So McIntosh is really going to have their hands full, but their offense is led by former Leroy quarterback, senior Braden Dixon. He transferred in this year and has just done so well leading this offense. And then head coach Josh Harris, this is his second season. He coached at Blunt before, so he's got 6A experience coming down to 1A. And what he's been able to do this season with this Demons team is incredible. I love their mascot, by the way. I'm looking forward to this matchup. I think it's going to be a good one. And then, of course, when you go out to a 1A school, you're always really getting that small town community feel. So me and Nick, the whole crew, we're super excited for this matchup this week. It's
going to be so much fun, putting the spotlight on McIntosh. Great stuff there. All right, let's talk a little bit about our game of the week. Dacian is going to this one, a massive game, Spain Park at Saraland.
Yeah, these two teams met last year in the quarterfinals, and Saraland got a huge win over them in that one. And if you think about it, Spain Park is kind of like the Saraland up there. I mean, they're a powerhouse in their region. So in my opinion, I just don't think Saraland can be stopped. I really don't. They've just been firing on all cylinders all season long, but this is going to be a quarterback battle. You've got Jamison Roberts, just extremely talented for Saraland. I mean, he came in and took over for KJ Lacey this season. It's kind of picked up where Lacey left off, but this is going to be a battle between him and Clemson commit Brock Bradley. Now, Roberts, he's got over 2,100 yards, 26 touchdowns, completing 73% of his passes, but Bradley's really similar. He's completing 69% of his passes, over 2,500 yards, 28 TDs. So if you look at them on paper, they're very similar. So that's why I say this one's going to be a quarterback battle tonight. Now, Spain Park, their strength, I think, could be their defense. They haven't allowed anyone to score more than 17 points per game. Now, I think Saraland's going to not have a problem there. This is going to be a tough one for Spain Park, but they do have that good defense. And when you're going up against this Saraland offense, that's going to be a problem. Now, Saraland, they do have the home field advantage, and they're going for their 40th straight win at home. That is insane. So when I asked Jeff Kelly about this, and I was like, what makes it, you know, are you thinking about that? Are you thinking about that 40th win? Are the guys thinking about it? And he's like, no, we're not worried about records. We're just taking it game by game. And they're locked in and they're ready for this one, and I think Saraland advances to round 3.
Well, that has to be the approach, right? Because any given Friday, anything can happen. They started their last week's game in a hole. No one expected that. Came back out of it. So Saraland, they got to come. They got to bring their game, and they should be okay if they do. Let's talk about Hustlin' Hal Sherrick. He is following one of those 7A games.
Yeah, this is a good one for Hal because, you know, he lives over there. This is about 10 minutes from his house.
You did him a solid. Real quick, just go over there.
I know he's happy about this one, but this really is a big game. And we talked about it last week. I said that, you know, in 7A, they had the best opportunity. Every team did to move on to the next round. Well, now they've done it. Well, this is another opportunity for one of our 7A teams. I think probably has the greatest chance to advance to round 3. Daphne going up against Auburn. Daphne took out the #1 seed up there from Huntsville, and now they're moving on to this one. But I just think Daphne looks so good. And with as far as 7A Region 1 goes, I think all of our teams in 7A look stronger this season than they ever have. So going into this one, I feel really confident about what Daphne can do. I really like Christian Seeger at quarterback. You know, he's a transfer new with Daphne this season, but I think that's been the change this year for Daphne. They've really had that that strong offense, and with Christian Seeger and that huge O-line, I think the average height for all those guys is like 6'5". That's wild. So I feel really good about Daphne's chances in this one. I think, I mean, Auburn, they're talented, but and they're going up against teams like, you know, Central Phoenix City and Hoover and all these other strong teams, well, I feel really good about the competition Daphne's gone up against in our region this year, and I think it's prepared them for this matchup.
All right, so if you're driving around the rest of the day or driving to the games and you want more football talk and analysis, how can our viewers listen to your podcast?
They can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on our website, fox10tv.com, on YouTube. Anywhere you get your podcast, you can find our podcast there. We break down every single matchup from this week. It's a bit of a longer episode now that we're in the playoffs, but we're having a blast doing it.
All right, lots of fun. Round 2 is here, y'all. Enjoy the games, everybody. All right, so as we were discussing, 7A is record-breaking this year with all 4 teams moving on to the second round. The Hornets and Vikings on the road, while the Pirates and Trojans will be at home. In 6A, Theodore faces off against Benjamin Russell. Viger and Williamson move on in 5A. All of our 4A teams playing tonight in round 2. And in 3A, Cottage Hill and Bayside move on. They'll both be on the road. In 1A, Leroy, Southern Choctaw are all playing in round 2 as well. Congrats and good luck to all of our local